Okay, so get this. We're diving into dementia today.
Ooh.
You sent us this YouTube video by Dr. Sten Ekberg.
Yeah.
He's a chiropractor, big into the health and wellness thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he, really breaks down the warning signs and stages of dementia.
Yeah.
I mean, it can feel kind of scary, right?
It can.
But honestly, I think the more we understand it,
Mm-hmm.
the less scary it gets.
Absolutely, knowledge is power.
Right.
Especially with something like dementia.
Yeah.
And we're going to focus on, early detection and what you can do.
Right.
Not just doom and gloom.
Not just the scary stuff, exactly.
Yeah.
So you've got this video right, and it's packed with info.
Yeah.
What should we really be zeroing in on here?
Okay.
What are the need-to-know points about dementia?
So the first thing is dementia isn't one specific disease.
Okay.
It's more like a spectrum of how our brains decline.
Okay.
Dr. Ekberg actually describes it as a reduction of the ability to perform mental processes.
So it's not like you wake up one morning and bam, you've got dementia.
No.
It's more of a gradual slide.
Exactly, a gradual slide, and he breaks it down into 7 stages.
Okay.
Stage 1 is basically normal brain function. You're sharp as a tack.
Okay, so stage 1, we're all good.
Yes.
But then we hit stage 2, which he calls very mild decline.
Yeah.
He actually says this stage is still on the green side of the spectrum.
Right.
Not officially dementia.
Not officially dementia.
And he gives some examples like forgetting names or where you put your keys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's totally me on a Monday morning.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
Right.
But here's the catch. How do we know if it's just normal forgetfulness or something more?
Right.
And Dr. Ekberg makes a really important point here.
Okay.
People with dementia often don't realize they're having problems.
Oh, so they might not even know.
They might not even be aware.
Okay, so it's on us.
Yeah.
Maybe friends and family too.
Exactly.
To notice those patterns.
Those patterns and those changes and to help them.
Got it.
Because they might not see it themselves.
Okay, and as we move to stage 3,
Uh-huh.
which is mild dementia,
Yes.
people start relying more on coping mechanisms.
Yes.
Like we all use to-do lists, right?
Right, we all do.
But for them, it becomes essential to function.
It becomes much more crucial.
Okay, got it.
Much more necessary.
So it's like the same behaviors, but the need for them is way different.
Exactly the same behaviors, but the need is amplified.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we hit stage 4,
Okay.
moderate decline. This is where things get tricky
Yeah.
because reversing the decline becomes harder,
Yeah. It becomes much more difficult.
but slowing it down is still possible.
But you can still slow it down.
Okay.
Yeah. And he gives this great example.
Okay.
Imagine trying to subtract 7s from 100.
Okay.
Simple, right?
Yeah.
But in this stage, it becomes a huge struggle.
Okay. That's a little unsettling.
Yeah.
We've gone from forgetting keys
Uh-huh.
to struggling with basic math.
Basic math.
It really shows you how sneaky this progression can be.
Yeah. Very sneaky, and it continues.
Oh, no.
In stage 5, moderately severe decline.
Okay.
Memory loss is even more pronounced.
Okay.
Forgetting your address.
Uh-huh.
Struggling to dress for the weather.
Oh, wow.
Difficulty managing finances.
Okay.
And potentially even forgetting loved ones' names.
Oh, wow. That's really tough.
Yeah.
What happens in the later stages?
So then we go to stage 6.
Okay.
Severe damage and impairment.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Ekberg calls it.
Mm-hmm.
You might need constant care.
Okay.
Struggle with basic needs like dressing or eating.
Mm-hmm.
And experience personality changes.
This is heavy stuff.
It is.
It's like you're losing your independence.
You are.
Even your sense of self.
Yeah. It's a very difficult thing to go through, both for the person and for their family members.
And often, this is when people require assisted living.
Yes.
And then there's stage 7, the most advanced stage.
Stage 7, the most advanced stage.
Imagine being completely detached from reality.
Yeah.
Unresponsive to your surroundings.
Yes.
Not even recognizing loved ones.
It's a very sad situation.
That sounds so isolating.
It is.
Both for the person with dementia and for their family.
It is.
So we've talked about this decline, but what's actually causing it?
Right.
Is it just aging or is there more to it?
So Dr. Ekberg says that while trauma can lead to dementia,
Okay.
most cases are actually due to gradual degeneration of brain cells.
So it's not like you bump your head and suddenly you're at risk.
No.
It's more about this ongoing process.
It's more about this ongoing process.
Okay.
And while genetics play a role, Dr. Ekberg really emphasizes that lifestyle factors are huge.
Okay.
He talks about this use it or lose it principle.
Okay.
Comparing brain health to muscle health.
Okay.
You've got to keep those synapses firing.
Which is interesting because people always think brain games are the answer.
Right.
Yeah.
But here's the surprise.
Yeah.
Dr. Ekberg says that over 90% of brain stimulation comes from movement.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
So all those Sudoku puzzles I've been doing, maybe not the brain saver I thought they were.
Right. They're helpful.
Okay.
But they're not the only answer.
Got it.
Yeah.
Physical activity seems way more crucial than we give it credit for.
It seems to be much more important.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just what we're feeding our brains.
Yeah.
But how we're moving our bodies.
How we're moving our bodies. You got it.
Okay, this is blowing my mind.
It's pretty amazing.
And this leads us to something Dr. Ekberg calls the brain-body connection.
Yeah.
Which is totally fascinating.
Totally.
Okay, all ears, break it down for me.
He points out that physical changes like tremors, bad posture, not swinging your arms when you walk, can actually be early signs of brain degeneration.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
It's not just memory problems.
It's not just memory.
It's your body giving you clues.
Your body's giving you clues, and this is where he drops a real bombshell.
Okay.
He calls Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes.
Okay, I gotta admit that one threw me for a loop, too.
Yeah.
I know diabetes has to do with blood sugar. But what's the connection to the brain?
It's all about metabolic health.
Okay.
When your metabolism isn't working right, it can cause inflammation throughout your body, including the brain.
Oh.
And chronic inflammation is like a slow burn for brain cells.
Okay.
Potentially leading to that cognitive decline.
So things like insulin resistance and high blood sugar.
Right.
They're not just bad for your body.
No.
They can directly impact your brain.
They can directly impact your brain. That's what he's suggesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So managing your metabolic health.
Yes.
Through diet, exercise, and lifestyle changes.
All of that.
Could be key to preventing or slowing down dementia.
That's what he's suggesting.
This is blowing my mind.
It's a lot to take in.
We've gone from forgetting keys.
Yeah.
To the brain being like a muscle.
Right.
To a connection with diabetes.
It just shows you how interconnected everything is.
It really does.
It really does.
This is seriously good stuff, and I know our listeners are soaking it all up.
I hope so.
But we've covered a ton of ground already.
We have.
And there's still so much more to unpack.
There is.
We've laid the groundwork.
Right.
But those later stages, the nitty-gritty of prevention, and Dr. Ekberg's recommendations, that's a whole other conversation.
That's part 2.
And we are definitely having that conversation.
We are.
Stay tuned, listeners, because we're about to dive even deeper into the world of dementia.
We are.
And we'll be right back after a quick break.
Sounds good. Don't go anywhere. So before the break, we were talking about those dementia stages. We left off at stage 5.
Right.
Where memory loss and personality changes get pretty serious.
Yeah, that was some heavy stuff.
It is.
Fill us in on the later stages.
So stage 6 is where the decline becomes even more severe.
Okay.
Dr. Ekberg calls it severe damage and impairment. Remember that example of forgetting your address or phone number?
Yeah.
Imagine not even recognizing your spouse.
Oh, wow.
The person you've built a life with.
That's heartbreaking.
It is.
It's like losing those core connections that make us who we are.
Yeah, it really is one of the most challenging aspects of dementia.
And at this stage, people often need round-the-clock care.
Yes.
They might wander off or get lost.
Yeah.
Or their judgment becomes so impaired they can't even dress themselves or eat properly.
Right, they need help with just about everything.
And so it's not just memory anymore.
No.
It's basic functioning.
Basic functioning is impacted.
And sadly, this is often the stage where assisted living becomes necessary.
Very often, yes.
Because it's just not safe for them to be alone.
Exactly.
Their personality can change drastically, too.
It can.
And they might lose almost all traces of their former selves.
Yeah, it's a very sad situation to witness.
And then we reach stage 7, the final stage.
The most advanced stage.
Marked by a complete disconnect from reality.
Yes. Dr. Ekberg calls this stage very severe decline.
So in this stage, people might not respond to anything around them.
Right.
Fail to recognize even close loved ones.
Yeah.
And lose the ability to communicate.
It's a very difficult situation, and both for the person with dementia and for their family.
It sounds like such a lonely experience.
It is.
Both for the person with dementia and their family.
It is.
Hearing about all these stages, though.
Yeah.
It's hard not to feel like dementia is this inevitable fate.
I understand.
Is there anything we can do to prevent it? Or at least slow it down?
That's the big question, right? And the good news is, yes, there are things we can do.
Okay.
Dr. Ekberg really stresses that early detection is key.
Okay.
Because the earlier we address the issue, the better our chances of slowing down the progression.
So it's all about catching it early.
Exactly. And he keeps coming back to that use it or lose it principle.
Right, like our brains are muscles that need a workout.
Exactly. And his big point is that physical activity is one of the most powerful tools we have for keeping our brains healthy.
Interesting.
It's not about becoming a marathon runner.
Right.
It's about making movement a part of your everyday life.
Okay, so easy changes.
Easy changes like taking the stairs instead of the elevator, walking or biking instead of driving, dancing, gardening, playing with your kids.
Okay.
All of that stimulates your brain.
So it's not about intense workouts.
No.
It's about staying active and engaged throughout the day.
Exactly. You got it.
Love that.
Yeah.
And Dr. Ekberg also talks about addressing any underlying health conditions.
Yes.
Especially those metabolic issues like insulin resistance and diabetes.
Right.
Which makes total sense given that type 3 diabetes link.
Exactly. Managing blood sugar levels and reducing inflammation in the body can do wonders for protecting your brain.
And that's where diet comes in.
Absolutely.
Let's talk food. What kind of diet does Dr. Ekberg recommend for brain health?
He's all about whole, unprocessed foods.
Okay.
Lots of veggies, fruits, healthy fats, and lean protein.
That sounds pretty standard.
It is. It's a healthy diet. And of course, he says to limit processed foods, sugar, and unhealthy fats.
Makes sense.
It's essentially a diet that supports overall health and reduces inflammation.
So no magic brain foods.
No magic brain food.
It's a good, solid eating pattern.
A good, solid eating pattern that benefits your whole body.
I like it.
Yeah.
And he also emphasizes the importance of sleep.
Yes.
Managing stress and staying socially connected.
Yes. All those things contribute to a healthy brain.
It's like all the things we already know we should be doing.
Right.
But this time it's for our brain specifically.
Exactly. It's all connected.
It really is.
Yeah.
Taking care of your physical, mental, and emotional well-being is the best way to protect your brain.
Yes.
And prevent cognitive decline.
Absolutely.
I love how empowering that is.
Me too.
We're not helpless in this.
We are not.
We can make choices to support our brain health.
We can and we should.
Speaking of which, Dr. Ekberg mentions specific physical signs that can point to early brain degeneration.
Yes.
Even before memory problems start.
Even before.
We touched on some earlier,
Yeah.
but I think they're worth diving into a bit more.
I agree. They're very important.
So what should we be looking out for?
So he points to several things.
Okay.
Changes in posture, tremors, changes in handwriting, loss of arm swing while walking, and even a decreased sense of smell.
Wait, a decreased sense of smell?
Yeah.
How is that connected to the brain?
It's fascinating, right?
Yeah.
Our sense of smell is directly linked to the olfactory bulb in the brain.
Okay.
Which happens to be one of the first areas affected by neurodegenerative diseases.
Interesting.
So if your sense of smell starts to decline, it could be an early warning sign.
That's a total mind blower.
It is.
It really shows how we need to pay attention to even the smallest changes in our bodies.
Exactly. Our bodies are constantly giving us clues.
Wow. He also mentioned that changes in posture can signal brain degeneration.
Yes. As our brains decline, we might start to slouch or hunch over.
Interesting.
Losing that youthful, upright posture.
So our bodies are literally mirroring what's happening in our brains.
They are. It's fascinating.
It really is. This is why taking care of our physical health is so crucial.
Yes.
It's all connected to our brain health.
It's all connected. You can't separate the two.
Okay, so we've got the movement, the diet, the sleep, stress management. And now, even paying attention to our posture and sense of smell.
It's all connected.
It's all starting to come together.
It's a holistic picture.
And it really highlights that taking care of our brains is about taking care of ourselves as a whole.
I completely agree.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
But it's also incredibly empowering.
It is.
We're not just passengers on this ride.
Right.
We can take the wheel and steer toward better brain health.
I love that analogy.
Me too.
Yeah.
And remember, it's never too early or too late to start making those positive changes.
Exactly. You're in control.
This has been an amazing deep dive so far.
It has.
And I know our listeners are probably buzzing with questions.
I hope so.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else from Dr. Ekberg's video that we should touch on?
I think there is one more important point.
Okay.
He highlights that even in the later stages of dementia, there's still hope.
Oh, that's nice.
While you might not be able to reverse the damage, you can focus on improving quality of life.
Okay.
And supporting those living with the disease.
So there's always something we can do.
Always.
That's really encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
It's easy to feel helpless when faced with a condition like dementia.
I understand.
But remembering that we can still help and provide care is crucial.
It is. It makes a world of difference.
Absolutely. And he reminds us that dementia isn't a normal part of aging.
Yeah.
Some cognitive decline is expected as we get older, but significant memory loss and impairment don't have to be inevitable.
I don't have to be.
So we shouldn't just brush off those changes as senior moments.
Right. If you're worried about yourself or someone you love, always talk to a doctor.
Exactly. Okay, listeners, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Before we move on to our final thoughts, let's take a minute to recap the key takeaways.
Sounds good.
And think about what this all means for you.
Yes.
The big takeaway is that dementia is complex.
Oh, yes.
With a range of stages and symptoms.
Absolutely.
It's not just about memory.
Right.
It's about a decline in brain function that can impact your whole life.
Your whole life and the lives of those around you.
And while there's no one-size-fits-all solution, there are things you can do to prevent or slow down that decline.
Many things.
A healthy lifestyle.
Yes.
Exercise, balanced diet, good sleep.
All of it
is key.
It is.
And don't forget to address any underlying health issues.
Yes.
Especially those metabolic ones.
Very important.
It's about being proactive.
It is.
And taking control of your well-being.
Exactly. You have the power.
But it's never too early to start.
Never.
Even small changes make a big difference.
They do.
Now, for a little mind bender before our final thoughts.
Okay.
Dr. Ekberg said over 90% of brain stimulation comes from movement.
It's amazing, right?
So I want to pose a question to you, dear listener.
Okay.
What are some simple ways you can add more movement to your day?
Oh, I love that question.
How can you move more to support your amazing brain?
It's a great question to ponder.
We'll be back in a moment to wrap up this episode and share our final thoughts.
Sounds good.
But for now, take a moment to reflect on that question.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive, everybody.
We're back.
We've been on quite a journey today, exploring dementia.
We have.
Talking about the stages,
the
causes, and most importantly, what we can do to keep our brains healthy.
The things we can control.
Exactly. And I hope our listeners are walking away with a sense of empowerment here.
Me too.
Not fear.
Not fear. Knowledge is power.
Exactly. And I think one of the most powerful messages from Dr. Ekberg's video, at least for me, was that movement is the real key to brain stimulation.
It really is.
That statistic that over 90% of brain stimulation comes from movement blew my mind.
It's amazing.
It really makes you realize that physical activity isn't just about physical health.
Right.
It's brain food.
It's brain food. It nourishes your brain.
It's like we're giving our brains a workout every time we move our bodies.
Every time.
And it doesn't have to be anything crazy intense.
No, it doesn't.
Just incorporating more movement into our daily routines can make a huge difference.
Huge. And sometimes people get intimidated.
Oh, yeah.
They think they need to train for a marathon or become a gym rat to reap the benefits.
Yeah, nobody wants to do that.
But he really emphasizes that simple things like walking, gardening, dancing, or even just taking the stairs instead of the elevator can have a positive impact.
It's all about those little things, those small changes.
The small, sustainable changes that you can actually stick with.
Exactly. And finding ways to make movement enjoyable.
Yes.
Because let's face it, if it feels like a chore, we're less likely to stick with it.
Absolutely. Find things that you love.
Right.
That make you feel good.
Yeah.
And make them a regular part of your routine.
Maybe it's putting on your favorite music and dancing around your living room.
Yeah.
Maybe it's taking a walk in nature. Maybe it's a spontaneous game of tag with your kids or grandkids.
All that counts.
It all counts. The possibilities are endless and the benefits are huge.
They are.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into dementia, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay.
We've covered so much.
I have.
The importance of movement, diet, sleep managing stress, nurturing those social connections.
All important.
All these pieces contribute to a healthy brain.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it boils down to this.
Okay.
Make choices that nourish your brain.
Yes.
Not just today, but for years to come.
I love that.
And never stop learning.
Never.
The more we understand about our brains, the better equipped we are to protect them.
Absolutely.
So keep learning.
Keep learning.
Keep exploring.
Keep exploring.
And most importantly, keep moving. A healthy brain is a happy brain.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into dementia.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next time.